Welcome back. The Strengthening the Implementation of National Biosafety Frameworks project is a UNEP GEF-funded initiative led by RAEIN-Africa and implemented in collaboration with the governments of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Madagascar and Namibia. Now, the objective of the project is to strengthen the technical and institutional capacities of participating countries to implement fully functional and transparent biosafety frameworks aligned with the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety and related international environment agreements. Now, joining us for discussion on this evening is Dr. Paulus Mungei, Biosafety Manager at the NCRST, and Ms. Doreen Mulwa, Managing Director and Regional Agricultural Environment Innovations Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you for having us.
Well, that was quite a mouthful that I just said there, but I'd like to hear in your own words, Mr. Reem, perhaps you can just briefly give us, an overall background of the SNBF. I hope I'm saying that correct, the project, and also the key, outputs of this project.
Yes, the Strengthening Biosafety, National Biosafety Frameworks of 3 countries, Madagascar, DRC, and Namibia, is a project that is looking at capacity building for the review of biosafety legal frameworks of the 3 countries to align with the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety and associated protocols, and also to capacitate the implementing institutions to enable them implement their national biosafety frameworks.
Also elaborate further on why this work is currently so urgent between these 3 partnering countries.
Biosafety is an important issue as it deals with biodiversity conservation and transboundary movement of biotechnology products. Hence, the 3 countries need to be aligned with the international obligations as they have signed the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety and as they promote the conservation of biodiversity. And biodiversity is an issue that deals with the various countries that share boundaries, and hence the importance of getting biosafety in place and implemented as according to the protocol.
Dr. Mungei, the project emphasizes alignment with the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety. So how well are the participating countries currently, aligned? And also talk to us perhaps about what the gaps may be.
Nina, thank you for the question. I'm coming from the National Commission on Research, Science and Technology that is mandated to coordinate and promote research, science and technology in a country under the Research, Science and Technology Act of 2006. However, the NCRST is also mandated to implement the Biosafety Act of 2006 that really looked at the implementation or coordination of our regulation of activities with regarding to the genetically modified organisms. Now, as an NCRST, this act is of 2006, and we realized that the regulation came thereof around 2016, and you can imagine the gap in between there. So the government of Namibia, the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport and Culture is the custodian of this act, and we are just an implementing agency implementing the act itself. But we realize that there's really a gap between the 2006 act and the regulation, and the various gaps that were identified during the implementation. Now, with obviously, dwindling resources in a country, we realize that there's really a need to address some of the gaps that's identified during the implementation. And of course, this act deals with living modified organisms or genetically modified organisms, as one may put it. With technology change, especially in the production or improving of crops. However, when it changes, it also comes with the improvement of our regulation, comes with the regulations. So some of the gaps that were identified is really to gaps that within the Act include, for example, new breeding techniques that are included. But of course, now we're implementing with 2 countries, which is DRC and Madagascar. And we did it at the inter-country project, of course, with the assistance of RAEIN-Africa, which is coordinating or leading these three countries, to put resources together, number one, share expertise, and assist in capacity building and also improving their regulatory frameworks. And in Namibia, in the context, it's really the Biosafety Act.
Thank you. Mr. RAEIN, talk to us a little bit about the train-the-trainer model and how it's meant to build national capacity in biosafety.
Basically, most projects have been dealing with capacity building. Sustaining capacity at national level has been a challenge because you call in trainers, experts from other countries, consultants from other countries. They train and they leave. And the capacity you leave behind may be dwindling as people change institutions as they get promoted. We therefore came up with an approach where we train at inter-country level. That's the shared resource that Dr. Mungei has just referred to. So we train Madagascar, DRC, and Namibian experts on specific topics, like the one that we are currently training on, which is on LMO detection. And thereafter, the trained trainers are expected to train in-country more people to ensure that there is a multiplier effect in terms of expertise within a country. And even there is movement of personnel from one institution to the other, there still will be a remaining core team with the relevant capacities that would have built.
Dr. Mungei, given the technical nature of the LMO detection, including the PCR-based methods, how are participants being prepared, to translate the scientific knowledge into regulatory decision-making and public policy?
That's a good question, but you understand that in Namibia, GMO discussion have been ongoing hot topics. And one of the issues is labeling, and the second one is how we identify, for example, what are the genetically modified organisms in the country. Now, I think the issue is really identification with regarding do we have capacity to do the testings. And this, it's a technique set, scientific techniques. And as we realize when we are setting up a project, of course, with RAEIN-Africa, we realize that Namibia is a country, not only Namibia, but perhaps within the region, and particularly in those three countries, we realize that testing is one of the key challenges at the scientific levels. And as Doreen have highlighted, we need to have capacity, especially for training in our country, to ensure that anything that is being imported in the country or exported, at least they are verified to, number one, to ensure that are they permissible to be in the country, and how do they get verified? So, of course, through the laboratories. Now, this project, and particularly for this initiative, for the coming 3 days, and the past 2 days that we had this workshop, was really to equip and capacitate scientists coming from the 2 universities, including also the NCRST, to ensure that they are really equipped adequately so that we'll be able to ensure the testing of GMOs in the country. Now, this is a trainer approach, Nina, if I may highlight that after that, then you want to have these people training more local people, our scientists at the universities, including also our implementing ministries, that they will be able to pick up GMOs, and this assists only the co-implementing agencies that involved in implementation of the Biosafety Act to make informed decisions. So it's really very important for us, and we appreciate really the help from RAEIN-Africa and UNEP GEF for this project.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Mr. RAEIN, just in conclusion, how's this project ensuring transparency and public trust in biosafety decision-making, especially when it comes to GMOs and LMOs, which are often, contentious topics, as Doctor mentioned?
Yes, as Doctor has just mentioned, LMO detection is a way to ensure that the decisions made are scientific based. So we are looking at scientists informing decision makers to ensure that the decisions that are made are based on scientific evidence, and thus building trust and hopefully ensuring transparency in the process of issuing permits or rejecting applications. In addition, the project has a very big component on public participation, public education and public participation, which is whose effort is meant to ensure that people make informed decision, even as they receive the decisions made by the government or by the biosafety councils, then they are able to relate to the source of decision, that it is basically a science-based decision. And thus, transparency is assured through that.
Mr. RAEIN and Dr. Mungei, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you.
We'll be back after this very brief break. We'll be talking about the suspected cholera outbreak in Opuwo. Stay with us.